Yes, we are.
Okay, thank you very much. Let's go ahead and start with Resolution 2095. Consider approving the monthly bills for April. Is there a motion?
So moved.
That was Councilwoman Stewart, I believe.
Second.
Second, Councilman Solberg. And then any discussion on this resolution?
Just that the abstract needs to be signed by all the members at some point.
Yeah, Councilman Solberg set up the DocuSign, and I think I'm the last one to figure it out, but he and I will get together and figure that out, and that'll be a handy tool for us.
But I don't think you can do that with the bills because you have to review all the bills, and they're not going to put all the bills on DocuSign, correct? We have to sign them.
Okay. So we'll straighten that out through email and figure out how we're gonna do that. Any other discussion?
There, now you can hear me. I just unmuted myself.
All in favor of passing Resolution 2095?
Aye.
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 Against? Motion carries. Moving on to new business. Community Distributed Generation, otherwise known as CDG, presentation by Ampion. We're going to try to share Brian Busby's screen here with the public. And before we do that, though, I'd just like to give a little bit of a background here. We have two different programs that we are looking at as a town board for our town, measures that will enable folks to possibly save a good amount of money on their electric bills and their gas bills. So CDG is the second one that we are looking at, and that is commonly referred to as community solar. So Brian Busby is on the Zoom conference call with us today, and he's going to do a presentation on what his company Ampion does in the way of community solar and how we can work with his organization as a town. And I will turn it over to you, Brian. Are you able to share your screen, Brian?
Yeah, I should be able to. I haven't tried yet, but it's worked in the past, so I'll give it a shot. Thank you, everyone, for having me here tonight. We'll
So
go
you
ahead.
have a coronavirus beard growing.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You see that? Well,
Oh,
I haven't gotten the coronavirus haircut yet either. So
I haven't either.
yeah.
Very good. Thank you.
So can everybody see my screen?
Yes, I have it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Now, do you have that big enough to view there?
Yes.
I do. I turn my phone sideways and it's much better.
Yeah. Okay. So I'll first start by giving you a little introduction to Ampion, who we are. So we are a software and services provider to renewable energy developers. So we work for companies that build renewable energy projects. Most of those are going to be what are referred to as community solar projects. So these are local clean energy projects that are happening all across, being developed, I should say, all across New York. And we're reaching out to municipalities to talk to them not about building a solar farm in your town, but instead to simply access one of our existing projects. And that can be done in a number of ways. The first would be that we'd be offering the town, the municipality itself, the opportunity to assign utility accounts, electric utility accounts, to one of our solar farms as a means of saving money on electricity costs. The second program that we would offer the town the opportunity to roll out would be a residential referral campaign that we'll talk about a little bit, which would be a way of raising money for the town for some initiative that you guys can talk about what you'd want the money to go to. But essentially, the program is offered to residents, and for each residential subscriber that joins one of our solar farms, we would donate $100 towards some type of campaign that the town has going. So with that, I'm going to roll through my slides here. You folks are all familiar with what solar energy is. We at Ampion connect people and businesses and towns to renewable energy projects. The primary reason to join these projects would be to support the growth of local renewable energy and also save money on electricity costs. The programs come out of an initiative by the state called Reforming the Energy Vision, which is a kind of comprehensive strategy to increase the amount of renewable energy, cut back on greenhouse gases. And our program, Community Distributed Generation, is just one of those programs that's a part of that strategy. So this is a state-developed program that was left up to private companies like Ampion to administer. But there are lots of rules and regulations, and we abide by all those rules and regulations put in place by the state. So community solar is what we think of as the easiest way to access the benefits of solar energy. There are no upfront costs. There's nothing to install. It's a way to save money, and it protects the environment. An important thing to note about community solar is that absolutely nothing is installed on the property for subscribers. So for example, if the town had a utility account that wants to subscribe to the solar farm, all we're doing is generating electricity on behalf of that utility account. And the same would apply for residential subscribers. So for instance, instead of putting solar panels on your roof at home, you can subscribe to one of our solar farms as long as it's within the same utility territory. So in your case, we're mostly talking about National Grid here. And we have several solar farms in National Grid that are not full that folks can subscribe to. Now, how does it work? I alluded to it a little bit. But the way that this works is we have these solar farms that are sitting on the electric grid, and they're generating electricity. That electricity is sent to the grid on the subscriber's behalf, and it's translated into a monetary credit that gets applied to the subscriber's bill. So once someone subscribes to the solar farm, we begin generating electricity on their behalf. The electricity is tracked and metered and translated into a credit, and that credit gets applied to the subscriber's bill, reducing their costs. For whatever those credits add up to on the subscriber's bill, we bill the subscriber for at 90 cents on the dollar, so at a 10% discount. So there's no liability in participating. The way that it works is whatever comes off your utility bill or your electric bill for charges, we bill the subscriber for at 90 cents on the dollar. So we do walk folks through this process. There are a couple ways that people sign up, and sometimes, they'll have some questions and they can call in. But it's all done through our online enrollment portal. So there are 5 steps to enrolling. There's the basic information. You select a contract. There's a utility bill upload. and the payment information, and then there's a contract. It takes about 5 or 10 minutes to enroll in the program online. I did show a sample bill here. Now, we do not have a live project yet in National Grid territory, so this happens to be a Rochester Gas and Electric bill. But I wanted to share with everybody that this is how the credits will appear on the bill. They show up as a brand new line item. So they appear as a line item just like some of your charges would appear, but instead of these being a positive value, they're a negative value. So each month, as the solar farm generates power, you'll receive your share in the form of these credits on the bill. And then we bill the subscriber for these credits at 90 cents on the dollar. So this happens to be an example of a larger, sort of more commercial subscriber. So you can see they received $476 worth of credits. But in this particular case, the important thing to note is what they would have paid for these credits. In other words, what they would have saved is what they would have saved in this month is about $47.60, because they're paying 90 cents on the dollar for the credits that they received. The agreement terms here, this agreement is approved by the Department of Public Service. So it comes with a whole bunch of consumer protections. So all the agreements for these programs basically look the same. And the important detail here is that it only requires a 90-day notice if you need to cancel for any reason. So for folks who are renters, or if you're moving, outside of the utility service territory, all that is required for a cancellation is 90 days notice, and there's no cancellation. All that is required from the subscriber is that they have a valid utility account with National Grid, that they have an annual usage that exceeds 1,000 kilowatt hours, and then that they go through the process of enrolling with their utility details, their payment details, and that they're willing to sign a contract. Each subscriber will get access to an online dashboard that has a summary of everything to do with their solar subscription. So it shares your environmental impact, your accumulation of savings, and the amount of electricity that's been produced on your behalf. So this is like a second way that folks can go in and make sure that they're receiving the benefits of the program. So the items here for the board's consideration would be to go ahead and explore the program further and sign up any utility accounts that that are eligible for our program that the town itself is responsible for. Again, any amount of these bill credits or electricity that is generated on behalf of the town accounts would see a 10% savings. So that can be a substantial amount of money for the town itself. And then the other program that we would roll out is a residential opt-in referral program. So the idea here would be to share this offering with residents in the town in whatever way you folks reach out to folks in the town, whether it be the town website or a newsletter or email. And the way it would work is we would set up a landing page that was specific to the town of Ballston that folks in the town could be directed to, and that landing page would be set up to educate the prospective subscribers. And it would also allow us to track any subscribers that come in through the town of Ballston. And again, what we would do for the town is we would do a $100 donation per subscriber. So yeah, that's the gist of the program here. I wanted to run through that pretty quickly. I don't think this was going to be the venue for questions, but what I would say is I am available. Supervisor Connolly has all my contact information. It'd be great if people had consolidated questions. These are usually pretty interactive presentations, and we open it up to questions, and folks usually do have a lot of questions because this isn't really a household product yet. Not a lot of people have heard of it. So we certainly like to make sure everybody's questions get answered.
Can I add a few things to that, Brian? If you
Yeah,
could unshare,
absolutely.
if you could unshare your screen, that would be great. So I actually enrolled in the program last week, and it took me, let me fix my camera. It took me 8 minutes. I timed it, and I was sitting upstairs. I had to go downstairs and take 2 pictures of my electric bill and upload them to the website. But when I was all done, it literally took 8 minutes. So if I'm understanding things right, Brian, here's how that'll work. They're going to save that $100 credit because I want them to apply that to the town fund that builds up should we move forward with this. There is a solar farm that is in the National Grid territory. It does not have enough CDG subscribers, community solar subscribers yet to start feeding the grid. So I'm in a holding pattern even though I've signed up. As more folks sign up, that solar farm can't take any more subscribers, then that solar farm starts feeding, and that's when my bill will be affected in a positive way, saving somewhere between 7 and 9%, 90 cents on the dollar for the credits that are applied to my bill. So this is strictly an opt-in plan. The other one that we are talking about and researching is CCA, Community Choice Aggregation, and that's a different program. They can work concurrently, correct? Okay, I see Brian nodding. So there's no problem with doing them and having a resident subscribe to both things or take part in both programs. Lastly, Peter Solberg and the Clean Energies Committee and I have had some initial discussions. What would that $100 donation for every subscriber in the town go to? And we're still talking that over. Some early discussions are a walkability fund for sidewalks and trails. But we want to give residents a lot of incentive if we move forward with this program. So the incentives would be threefold. One, you're contributing to New York State's goals of moving toward renewable energies. 2, you're saving money for your own household. And then the third reason you would want to participate in the program is to contribute to that, the donation of $100 per residence, which could add up. If you get 2,000-3,000 residents signing up for this program, that's $300,000 to improve our sidewalks and both hamlets, to improve our trails, possibly use some of the money to connect our bike trail to the Zim Smith Trail. I mean, the possibilities are quite a few. So I'm going to stop talking because I want our board to have a chance to interact with you, Brian, for a few minutes and ask any questions that they have.
Yeah, absolutely.
Brian, can you hear me?
Hey, Peter,
hopefully.
yes.
So is this a net metering situation, or are you guys just doing, kilowatt hours and converting it into a monetary fund based off of the standard rate?
Yeah, so the program is sort of the overarching program is called Community Distributed Generation. This specific project is part of a program called VDER, which is the Value of Distributed Energy Resources. So what happens is we take a look at your historical electricity usage, and we determine from that what share of the solar farm we can reserve for you. And then each month you receive a fixed percentage of the output from the solar farm, again, based on your historical usage. So for instance, so yes, you're right, Peter, the second was true. It's a monetary credit. So the electricity is generated on behalf of your utility account, and then it's translated into a monetary value. And that amount is what comes off your electric bill. So as an example, let's say for argument's sake, one particular month, your electric bill would normally be $100. And let's say, again, for argument's sake, that particular month, we generated $90 worth of electricity on your behalf from the solar farm. You would find a line item credit on your national grid bill that says minus $90, bringing your total due to National Grid down to $10. You'd go ahead and pay them the $10 you normally, whatever way you normally pay them. And then we bill you approximately 1 month later for the $90 worth of credits that you received, but we bill you at 90 cents on the dollar. So your bill from us would be $81 rather than the full 90 you would have paid National Grid.
And Peter, if I could interject, if anybody has noise in the background, if you could please mute your microphone until you're ready to talk, that would be helpful. So I've talked a lot with Brian about this program, and I dug and I searched for the negatives. Like, you know, there's got to be some negatives to the program. And the only thing that I could find came from my wife, who doesn't really love the idea of having two bills. But we believe that the three positives, which is helping the environment, saving money for your household, and contributing to this fund for walkability or whatever we come up with, far outweighs having the two bills. And you always get the National Grid bill first so that you can see your reduced amount and how much credits you're going to get. Correct, Brian? Yep.
That's absolutely correct. So again, I like to say that there's sort of no liability here. You only ever pay for what comes off of your National Grid bill, and you pay approximately 1 month in arrears. So again, in the example we just used, you received the $90 worth of credits on your National Grid bill. We bill you for those $90 worth of credits 1 month later, approximately at 90 cents on the dollar, or in other words, $81. So yeah, very, very simple, very straightforward, very transparent, the whole process.
Have you seen this work with subscribers that are on budget billing?
Yes, so we have the way that it works for folks who are on budget billing is you receive the credits against those budget billing charges. So in some months and there's an important piece that I should mention. So solar power, obviously the way that it works is we generate more power in the spring, summer, and early fall than we do in the winter, right? And because everybody gets a fixed share of the solar farm, of the generation from the solar farm, that means that in the winter months, you receive fewer credits than in the spring, summer, and early fall. But we only bill folks for the credits that are applied to their bill, not the credits that are generated on their behalf. So you're only ever paying, again, for what comes off your electric bill.
And you can set it up as a automatic, withdrawal from your bank account, just like you can with National Grid, which is what I convinced my wife about.
Yeah, that's what we do. So for folks who are, concerned about the two bills aspect, it's all through auto pay. So you provide a routing number, an account number, and on the first of the month, you receive an email from us with the exact amount that you're going to be billed. So you will have already received your National Grid statement that will show you the line item with the credits that have been applied to the bill. And then on the first of the following month, you'll receive an email from us with the exact amount that you're going to be billed. And then we do the billing on the 11th of the month.
Brian, can you explain very simply how it works with community choice aggregation? Because I didn't understand how they can work together.
Absolutely. So community choice aggregation is really all about like collective buying power, right? You guys are aggregating all the utility accounts in the town that aren't with an alternative supplier, and you're negotiating a lower rate on the supply portion of your electricity charges. Now, when that all goes into place, should you guys, get that all squared away and finish, which I hope you do, it's a great program. Those supply charges that you've just negotiated a lower rate for, those are going to appear on your National Grid bill, just like as though they were National Grid charges, as though you didn't have a supplier. And the way our program works is the credits that we're generating on behalf of the subscriber, they just get applied to credits on that National Grid bill. They don't care what the supply charges are. They just care that there are charges there. And the credits will see those charges. And if there are enough credits to offset the entire bill, supply and delivery charges, then they offset the entire bill. So really the way, if the lower your supply charges, the better. So if you guys are able to negotiate through the CCA a low supply rate, then and you do community solar or community distributed generation on top of it, you just save more money.
Thank you.
I saw somebody's question, what's the bottom line? That you save more money. By doing both, you'd save more money. So again, the way ours works is whatever we generate from the solar farm on your behalf, you're going to save 10% on.
Yeah, and we don't know what CCA can do for us yet.
Right.
So we'll have to wait and see what their estimates are. But it could be potentially 8 to 9% with both companies, saving up to 18% or 16 to 19%, somewhere in that range. I do see people chiming in with comments. We would really appreciate you not doing that. Feel free to email me if you have comments, and I will get them with Brian. But if you've been attending our meetings, you know that agenda meetings are strictly for discussion, and we don't really do privilege of the floor at agenda meetings. So thank you for being here and listening. Absolutely. Any other questions from the board about CDG?
I'm good. Thank you very much for presenting.
Yeah, thank you guys for having me.
Yep. Thank you, Brian.
Thank you, Brian, for
Okay.
your presentation.
We'll move on to MS4 annual report for 2019 with Catherine Sierra.
Great, thank you, Eric. Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Great. So the board members received the draft annual MS4 report from Carol this morning, and I'll talk about one of the questions Peter had, which is a great question. So maybe just to take a step back. So MS4 stands for Municipal Separate Storm Sewer System. And this is a permit that the town has had, to carry since 2006. It is a DEC issued permit. And the reason why the town has this permit is because it is a designated urban area. And that is strictly based upon census data. And essentially the population density in some parts of the town is high enough that the state designates you as having the potential to discharge pollutants because of stormwater. This is separate from individual permits a developer would need to obtain for construction projects. So this annual report has actually been the same format for now 14 years. The current permit was started in 2006. It was renewed in 2015 with little to no changes. And the state was supposed to issue a revision in 2018. A draft of the permit was done, and it received significant comment from the municipalities. Many of them were negative, that the draft permit was too onerous on municipal operations and was particularly onerous for municipalities that contained impaired water bodies. So because of the extensive public comment, DEC has still not issued a new MS4 permit. So we are still working under, I would say, a rather old and outdated permit. So this does delve into one of the questions Peter has regarding Ballston Lake. So just a brief summary, the annual report period is March to March, so it's March 2019 to March 2020. And the information we fill out includes 6 measures that the town of Ballston is required to do. And a lot of these measures have to do with providing better and cleaner stormwater management. The first 2 measures are public education and outreach, and that is done by the Saratoga County Intermunicipal Stormwater Program. The town is a member. The third item is that the town should look to reduce illicit discharges. An illicit discharge is a discharge to a storm sewer system that is not stormwater, such as septic overflows, cross connections, gray water, which would be you have your laundry connected to, say, the swale in front of your house instead of to your septic system. Items 4 and 5 require the town to review all stormwater pollution prevention plans and inspect construction sites. Again, the stormwater pollution prevention plans are reviewed as part of the planning board process. And the construction site inspections, when the town had a staff planner, were performed by them. And that is something that CTML has been performing on behalf of the town since September. And we are performing quarterly inspections. And that is consistent with what the state wants to see. The last measure is related to highway department operations. The state requires you to track how often you maintain your stormwater basins, your catch basins, your swales, and sweep the roads. So that are items that we fill out every year. To go to Peter's question, there are 3 pages at the end of the report that are specific to impaired water bodies. Also throughout the report, they ask questions about impaired water bodies. The reason why we choose no or not applicable is due to the fact that even though Ballston Lake is currently a listed impaired water body by the state, that got on the list in 2012. Because we are operating under a permit language that is from 2006, the state right now is not treating the town of Ballston as a community that is required to do more to better their impaired water body. So the list of impaired water bodies is on the 3rd to last page. That includes areas around Long Island, Onondaga Lake in Syracuse, and the east of Hudson, New York City watershed, which is Westchester County. One thing I'd like to point out is that it is highly likely in the next round of permit from the state that Ballston will be treated similar to these other watersheds, that you'll have to do much more operationally when it comes to stormwater management. I can't say what that will be, but as soon as another draft permit comes out, whether it's CT mail or a staff person who is the stormwater management officer, we will definitely report to the town board. Because again, being told by the state to take measures to clean up or better the quality of stormwater runoff is costly. It is better for the environment, but there are costs associated with it. So maybe just focusing back on the actual report at hand, the town has historically always met the goals. The only goal we did not meet this year, and this was due to the lack of staff, was that the town is required to do dry weather inspections for their outfalls. The frequency is, they'd say a few times a year. They don't say you have to do the inspections every month or so. And the reason you inspect stormwater outfalls during dry weather is you expect the pipe to be dry when it hasn't been raining for a week. And if there's something coming out of it, it might be, again, that case where someone is discharging laundry to a swale. So, I did want to point out that we do have one, we'll call it negative on this report. But if the state does ask, I think it is completely justifiable given your lack of a staff member to perform this work for a good portion of this reporting period. So I will open the floor to board members if they have any specific questions about this document.
Is Brian on?
I don't believe so.
Okay. Catherine, has Brian reviewed the MS4 report?
Yeah, we actually chatted yesterday about the items that are pertaining to his department. Joe's department and Brian's department have a lot of input on these items.
Okay.
And Brian, I believe, is the chief code enforcer for stormwater issues, correct, Catherine?
Correct.
Yep.
Yep.
Anybody else on MS4?
And just for requirements for reporting, I did send Carol a sample that the state requires for noticing it. But one of the minimum requirements is that it be posted on the town website for at least 2 weeks before it's submitted, and that it be discussed at a town board meeting. There does not need to be a public hearing held on the report, just that there be the availability for the public to review it. So I believe all of those requirements are also met. And kind of once that 14 days passes where it's up on the town website, then the report can be submitted to the state. It does need to be submitted by June 1st. And everything, it must be submitted paper, unfortunately. They will not take an electronic submission.
Catherine and Eric, can you just clarify a point you just made? Brian Thrall is not the stormwater management officer. I mean, that's not his position. The building inspector isn't the SMO. I thought CT Mail was our interim SMO.
Sure, correct. We are acting as that. However, CT Mail has no enforcement arm, meaning if one of my inspectors or myself goes out and looks at a construction site or identify an illicit discharge,
Okay.
we can't issue a notice of violation. So we do work with Brian when we do find deficiencies. But that dry weather inspection was not something that we were tasked with undertaking, mostly due to cost reasons.
Okay.
Again, there were cases in the past, kind of when the program was rolled out, where we were able to identify, and this is through Tom Johnson's kind of reign, there were actually a lot of these illicit discharges. Really simply, people just didn't know that they had their laundry connected to the swale behind their house for years. We've really noticed that those illicit discharges have been corrected, and we really haven't seen anything new. Most of the issues the town had this past year were with regards to construction site issues, right, which I know the board has brought up.
Yep, and I'll be working with Brian moving forward over the next, however long I'm around. But I just feel like, especially in the Ballston Lake watershed, that we should step up our monitoring of construction sites and do our very best to make sure that there's full compliance at all times. We want to be known as tough on stormwater in our town. Anyone else? Okay, let's move forward to Resolution 2096. Consider setting a public hearing for proposed local law for community choice aggregation for Tuesday, May 12th, 2020 at 6 p.m. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Councilman Solberg, is there a second?
I'll second.
Was that Councilman
Curtis.
Curtis?
Curtis, yes.
Thank you. Discussion on this. Again, this is non-committal as far as us committing to CCA. This is just CCA and Javier, they need us to have a public hearing, and then they have to submit that that's done along with the resolution that we previously passed. Then they take that to all the regulatory agencies, and eventually we find out what their estimates are as far as what they believe they can save the aggregate of the town in our energy purchases. So this is just like one more step, but we will eventually have to vote as a board whether we think that the savings are worth being involved in the program, but that's not on the 12th.
Okay.
Eric, the
Yes.
public hearing, that will be over Zoom, but also extend out past that specific May 12th. There'll be write-in or email public hearing.
Yeah, we can leave it open for sure. And just so that the public is kind of understanding what's going on, Governor Cuomo did give us the ability to do a public hearing, but our attorneys are saying on anything controversial, they are not advising us to move forward with public hearings. So this one we don't believe is controversial. It doesn't commit us to anything. And in fact, it has the potential to save our community some money in a time such as this, with COVID-19 affecting a lot of people financially. So that's why we're moving forward with this public hearing and not the sewer public hearing and not the moratorium public hearing.
Thank you, Eric.
Any other discussion?
Eric, I just wanted to mention that I'll have the language to the town board tomorrow, and I believe Carol will post it to the website, whether it's tomorrow or Thursday.
Thank you, Deb. All right. Anyone else? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion carried. Moving on. Resolution 2097, consider approving terminating services with Life Made Simple effective April 28th, 2020. Is there a motion?
So moved.
It's Councilwoman Stewart. Is there a second?
Second.
Councilman Solberg. Discussion on this.
Yeah, what was the reason for the termination of service?
We met with some of the staff that is there, you know, and kind of has eyes on the building, and they just felt that we could do better. So this Brad and Brett, we have experience with them in the past and their cleaning methods. I know Brett is a custodian. I think Brad is too. They have a lot of experience with cleaning commercial properties. So just putting our heads together, we decided that, especially with COVID-19, that if we could pretty much pay close to the same thing and improve the overall cleaning of the buildings, then it would be wise to do so. I think Joe Whalen is on, and he can discuss some of the financial pieces of it. He had quotes coming in that he reviewed.
Everybody hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, so I guess we got 3 quotes. The company that we're dealing with now, they gave us a quote, and there were some changes with additional cleaning that was asked to be done. But they were ranging around, I think, $2,200 a month for what was tasked of them to do. We then took the same tasks and asked Mr. Help and also Brad and Brett's cleaning service to look into giving us quotes. So I think who we had now was, they were ranging $2,200 a month. If I look at a couple invoices, Brad and Brett, they met with Eric and I, walked the building. They came back with 2,100. They also gave us some quotes on disinfecting. As you all know, we had the town hall disinfected, the highway garage, and also some vehicles that we are using in the field. And then we had a quote from Mr. Help, and he was 2,900. We had a couple things that we asked separately from just the cleaning, such as the community room is in dire need of having that floor stripped and waxed. It's dull and not very protective right now with a wax coating. Brad gave us a quote to do that. It was 50 cents a square foot, which came out to be about $1,600. And so did Mr. Help. And I think he was $2,000. There's additional things we asked for separate, the disinfecting of town hall during COVID. I know there were some concerns from some of the employees due to the odors of the solutions they used the following day. It was a smell of chlorine. It was non-toxic, wasn't going to hurt anybody. It was probably left over from residue that can last up to 48 hours. And then there was...
And we did get a material safety data sheet on that before we had them proceed.
Absolutely, we did. And so I also wanted them to do the highway garage, especially the vehicles that we're climbing in and out of daily. Especially, we weren't out of the snow yet, unfortunately. So we were in and out of the trucks a couple times, but they gave us a quote on that service. And they also gave us a quote on, I think it was cleaning the kitchen and going through that yearly, giving a good clean down. It's used by, as you know, Office of the Aging for Meals on Wheels, and we use it quite a bit in other functions, whether it be weddings, birthday parties, and etc. And it needs a real good cleaning every once in a while, at least once or twice a year. And they gave us a quote on those services, along with washing the windows once a year, which I don't think I've ever been done. But after sitting down and looking at it at our team meeting, we chose Brad and Brett's cleaning service. Thought we'd give them a shot. We thought they'd do a better job. Again, as Eric said, the one's a janitor at one of the local school districts. He knows what he's doing. He has people that, we looked into, where he's worked in the past, and, he's highly qualified. So that's what we recommended. So we're going from there.
Thanks, Joe.
So this is town hall and the highway garage. It doesn't involve the library.
Correct.
It's just town hall. I already have somebody cleaning the highway garage.
Okay.
I'd like to continue every Friday, having those guys come in and disinfect
Right.
the building and any areas that have been touched. A lot of hands going in and out. We are currently at 50%, starting as of yesterday. We have essential work. It needs to be done. It's been on the hold for a while now at 25% workforce. And I think it gives both the employees and certainly myself comfort knowing that things are being disinfected at least once a week, beyond just cleaning. So I will continue doing that every Friday. I'm not sure, we probably should have more discussion on town hall at the team meeting this Thursday on that.
Okay.
Any other discussion? Okay. All in favor of resolution 2097?
Aye.
Aye. Against? Motion carried. Resolution 2098. Consider hiring Brad and Brett's cleaning service for town hall cleaning at a cost of $2,100 a month effective April 29th, 2020. Is there a motion?
So moved, Curtis.
Second?
Second, Mantoski.
You guys are catching on to this thing. Throwing your names in right now. Thank you. Any discussion? I mean, it's related to the last resolution. We had a lot of discussion, but anything else?
I'll follow Joe's recommendation on this. You know, he's living it.
I didn't know if Deb Kalen might want to possibly chime in here in regards to the contract and it being a monthly contract. I'm hoping and pretty confident that we're not going to have to change anytime soon with this. But Deb, if you could just let fill the board in on that this is a monthly contract. We're not tied into a yearly contract.
Deb Kalen, you're muted. We can't hear you. There you go.
Thank you.
Start again. I got nothing.
Yes, Joe, you are correct. The Brad and Brett's cleaning is a month-to-month contract, so you can terminate it at any time. And we were in the same month-to-month situation with Life Made Simple. So no long-term contract and, we're able to terminate at any time.
Thank you, Deb.
Okay.
Any other discussion?
Nope.
All in favor?
Aye.
Against? Motion carries. That brings us close to the end here. I just want to thank Dave Blair from our planning board for helping out to host the meeting. I am getting the hang of it. And Dave, I might be able to relieve you at this point. I might be able to handle the hosting as well as all the other stuff that has to be done. It's getting easier for us. So motion to adjourn.
So
So
moved.
moved, Curtis.
Second,
Stewart.
Councilwoman Stewart. Everybody have a great night. Stay safe. Be well. See you soon.
Take
Thank
care,
you.
everyone. Good night.
All right, thank you.